It is a rare occasion that you can play a deck competitively with barely any changes for over a year.
Indeed it is, for sure. And Max Patel does that perfectly. Oh, but let's see, because as you can already tell, there is a pretty interesting deck on the other side as well, and it's Mikanko. And it's not like Mikanko Libromancer or something. We know some kind of Mikanko mixtures from the past, but this is just pure Mikanko, which is very, very interesting.
Yes, and now we are going to see Markus starting off with his, by now, favorite card in the game. I'm just going to take this answer away from him.
It is the normal monster in Yu-Gi-Oh! With the most effects.
Yeah. Sunseed Genius Loci, and everything that happens after that is history by now. But the last European Championships, he played one trap card that basically won him the grand finals of the tournament. He beat Zio Mundri 2-0 with Rivalry of the Warlords. Is this still a thing for him?
It absolutely is not. That card is not in the main deck, and it did not even find its way into his side deck for this event. And just coming back to Sunseed Genius Loci, is that just the most powerful normal monster we have in the game right now? It's certainly the most played, isn't it?
I would go with it's the most powerful normal monster ever.
Oh, okay.
That's my mind. I mean,
what about Blue Eyes White Dragon?
I was going to say, have you forgotten about Blue Eyes White Dragon?
Yeah.
There are only 3 in the world.
There were 4, but
yeah, that is true. But we don't talk about the Kaibans.
So we are using Sunwine Sowing to special summon out the Sunseed Twin, and we're just off and running into our Sun Avalon combo here.
It is completely crazy to me that this deck has had that much success. I mean, even in the Nationals this year, we had a top 4 at the UK. Considering that many British players are playing Rikka, it was probably in tops way more than just once. And people still need to read the cards sometimes.
Yeah, it's very strange. Players have like stubbornly decided not to learn what it does. There's a lot of decks where, you know, you'd think with the success it has, it would be more popular, but for some reason it's still just kind of flying under the radar, despite winning the European Championships last year.
Yeah, and I mean, Markus would have the chance to just qualify for the World Championship this weekend and then keep on playing the Rikka deck, because it also could be a pretty good deck there to play in only a couple of weeks from now in Japan, which is basically where everybody wants to go this weekend. Everybody wants to qualify for it. We already have found 3 participants through our playoff, and 4 more will join them for the main event.
And now we are seeing one of the most powerful plant link monsters in the game. Maybe the most powerful one, actually. It's Aroma Seraphy Jasmine.
Oh yeah, she's really powerful, because the first effect already pretty good, but it's not done with that. You can actually use both of those effects, and we will see Markus use both of these effects here for sure. There comes the Furion package. It's a very small package in the deck, the Lily Borea and the Regulus, but it's still very, very powerful nevertheless.
Yeah, it's nice. It's so like free almost that, you know, because normally decks have to go to quite a bit of effort to gain life points, but the Sun Avalon package obviously gains you a little bit of life points just kind of along the way.
Yeah, just inherently. It just belongs to the combo.
There we have the original best plant type monster you could ever ask for since basically 2008 or 7. I don't quite remember.
But there's the Nibiru on the side of Lucien, a card that has not really been that popular for the longest time, but Markus has the good old Rikka Princess in his hand to just immediately negate that. It does not destroy, but it does negate, which does do the trick here, because Lucien will not be able to activate Nibiru again this turn.
Yeah, that does answer the question, actually. I was thinking, like, why would Markus just summon the princess? Because you can't use it from your hand. But I think the answer is that you need to have a Rikka in play in order to activate
Yes,
Rikka
there needs to be one on the field.
So that's why he started by summoning Rikka Princess.
Also, I was asking myself why he did not use the Lily Borea effect earlier to get the Regulus to be Nibiru-proof, basically.
I think once you've summoned Rikka Princess, is Rikka Princess one of the cards that stops you from summoning non-plants, or that might be the
it does. Oh, you can only summon it if there are no plant monsters on the field. If there are non-plant monsters on the field, I think.
Ah, okay. So he can still summon the Regulus, or no?
No, he can't use it while she is face-up on the field. During main phase, you can special summon this card in your hand, but while it is face-up in the monster zone, you cannot special summon monsters except plant monsters.
Okay, well that's not too much of an issue, because I don't think the Princess is long for the field.
Yep, there it is, already gone. And there is his favorite card. Honestly, Yeah, Leonard is
doing it
telling me
again?
that basically on a daily basis, but this card is called Rikka Petal. But I mean, obviously it has to be renamed to Rikka Patel, right?
Petal.
That's so obvious. It's super obvious to me.
You are
He made his
making
card
me
successful.
mad again.
To be fair, in the beginning, I actually thought the card is called Rikka Patel, but now I'm making a joke out of it, of course.
And I've never heard Marcus say that himself, so maybe someone should tell him.
So there now is the regulars on the field. And I mean, now it's even kind of nice for Marcus to know that there's a Nibiru in the hand of Lucien, because he knows there's one less card he has to worry about. That's one less card that can break his field, because it was already done. It was already taken care of this turn, and he can just freely play here, and he has to have less fear of cards such as Lightning Storm, Evenly Matched, and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's always not like, sometimes you don't want your opponent to interrupt you, but sometimes if you have the combo cards needed to push through interruptions, you'd rather your opponent played interruptions on your turn, because that means they have less cards to come back with. And if you think you're going to end with a similar end field either way, you'd just rather they used cards now, which they have done.
I think there is a trap card in Lucien's hand. Is he running triple copies of Evenly Matched?
Let me just check that. Is there any Evenly Matched?
I mean, we know that he's running some spicy trap cards. I think Infinite Impermanence is one of them, but that one...
There are a couple of trap cards in here. And there is Impermanence, but probably it would have been used already. But that's pretty good there for Marcus Patel, hitting the Mudan through the effect of the Sylvian Dance Peon, and therefore getting access to a Rikka spell card that he could just search out here. And there it is, Rikka Glamour being added to the hand. That was kind of lucky, because he revealed 3 cards and only one of them was a plant monster. And it being Mudan is really strong.
Yeah, Mudan is easily the most useful one here.
And yeah, following up on the trap cards in Lucien's hand, it could be Infinite Impermanence, but as you said, probably would have come down already. But there are some spicy and interesting trap cards in there, potentially, because he's actually running Soul of the Supreme King, which is a trap card I have not seen in a whole lot of decks. But Lucien did not only decide to play it as a one-off or something, but he does play this card thrice, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, this card we were discussing earlier. It's kind of like an anti-spell fragrance, but your opponent can still choose to activate spell cards, but then he will have to really pay for it.
That is indeed true. So there is the Rikka Contour now, and that immediately triggers the effect of Hyperiton attaching the Discolosseum. Perfect order there by Marcus, so that the Hyperiton will be able to not only negate monster effects, but also spells. Yeah. And now we're also getting the Rikka Sheet, so that looks like almost the perfect setup there for Marcus Patel, even though his opponent had the Nibiru. And I mean, yes, we had to give up on one of the Rikka Princesses, but there was another one which he just linked away afterwards, so he's doing totally fine. He's being backed up by multiple instances here. There's Rikka Sheet, there's Rikka Princess, there's already the 2 negates on the field, and now there is the Sun Avalon Malaya is coming down, so that probably means we're also going for the Bangle Lancer.
Yeah, so this is like a massive field. You got 1 spell negate, you got the Sheet tributing a monster with the Concon and taking another monster, and a negate with Princess, and a negate with Hypertron, and a Therion, which is just insane.
I just love the combo tinkering of players in Yu-Gi-Oh! Nowadays. Like, having the Therion Discolosseum in the deck just for the single use of putting it away for Rikka Concon, so you can attach it with the Hyperitron. I'm sorry. That is absolutely crazy. I love when players get this creative. I know this combo has been around for a while now, but it is still really strong. I don't even think that there were Therion combos in the European Championship deck from last year.
No, I don't think so. I think it was just kind of pure. It was very much reliant last year's deck, I think, on the resolving things like rivalry to win the game.
To be fair, you do have to play the Therion Discolosseum, because Liboria would only be able to search you a spell or trap card of the Therions, and therefore that is definitely a card you have to include. But besides that, I definitely do agree. Like, it's a still pretty cool inclusion, and last time it wasn't there. But now they found a way to also put that Regulus onto the field. And look at that! Now Marcus may have to read some cards, as that preparation of rights is grabbing him Ohime from the deck. And yeah, give me that, like, I want to read.
What is this? This is one of the newer ritual monsters where you can get quite a lot of value out of it without actually needing to ritual summon it. Yeah, it's quite good on the field as well, but you can just reveal it from your hand and search any other Mikanko card, and then you have to discard any card, which is a pretty good effect.
Absolutely is. And it's interesting to see that Lucien has not decided to just scoop it up into this amazing combo field. He decides, hey, my deck might be able to play through this, and I'm curious to see whether it really is.
I mean, maybe he wants to put up a little bit of a show the players what the Mikankos do, but I think that he actually might not want to reveal the deck, so I think there is a pretty good chance.
Well, he's already activated the preparation.
Yeah.
I mean, looks like we just activated the effect of the Ohime, right? Because we are shuffling back the Princess. That must mean we did use the effect of Princess.
Yeah, I feel like this Bengal Lance is actually going to be very, very annoying because Mikanko's a deck which centers around equipping your monsters with equip spells, right? So if you activate an equip spell and then you just respond with Bengal Lancer to bounce the equipped monster, that's got to be unpleasant.
That could turn out to be bad. But I mean, there are also Mikanko equip spells that you can equip to your opponent's monsters, and then you could take control of the Bengal Lancer. I don't know whether you could do that preemptively, but there is definitely a way for him to get into this game, I'm quite sure.
And I don't really quite... Was it the Reflection Rondo? I think so, right?
I think it's Water Arabesque, isn't it?
No, it's Reflection Rondo.
Okay, perfect.
I figured with the reflection thing, it would make kind of sense.
It does, you're right. But that, first of all, is Huli, the Jewel Mikanko, that is being normal summoned there by Lucien.
I think they could have just called it Mikanko Snatch Steal, just so everyone knew what was up.
That's probably how everyone else calls it, to be honest. Or how Lucien is constantly explaining it to his opponents. So, Marcus done with reading the Huli. Now knows what he's expecting. And I mean, Huli would only trigger if you equip an equip spell to it, right?
That should be the case.
And what does it do then?
You can add a Mikanko trap from your deck.
Oh, and there are Mikanko traps in there. Oh, but preemptively, Marcus decides to tribute the Bengal Lancer to take control of the Huli.
Oh, that's
pretty early. But there we have it. There is one of those Mikanko equip spells, and it is the one you were just talking about, right? That is Reflection. No, wait.
I think it says you can only activate this while you control a Mikanko monster.
It says while you control a Mikanko monster, you get to take control of your opponent's monster, but you can just activate it beforehand.
Oh, right.
It's a bit of a sneaky thing.
Oh,
because
this looks like Water Arabesque.
That is Water Arabesque, yeah, that's what I also just noticed.
You can equip to your opponent, and then you can special summon from the deck.
Yeah, Water Arabesque is like the extender, the one that brings you monsters from the deck.
And it bounces the monster that you equip to the hand. So this is not only an extender, this is also an out to the opposing field. This card is, I forgot how good those cards were. There was a small moment in time where people were really hyped about the Mikanko deck. I think one of the most famous UK players, Gabriel Netz, went completely off with it. He had a really good run with it at some UK tournaments, and then people
I think at a regional he just tried it out. He did like some Mikanko Libromancer combo pile, and I think this is more straight up here by Lucien. It's just the pure Mikanko version. It doesn't do a whole lot of funky stuff. It just goes for pretty easy damage, honestly. And I think Lucien wasn't even that unsatisfied with losing the die roll. I mean, of course, to Rikka it kind of hurts, but generally this deck is supposed to be somewhat decent going second even. But it doesn't look like that's going to be the case here. We're just setting one more card and passing it over to Marcus.
The problem with going second
Therion
is...
King not passed over now because Lucien now controls a...
Oh no, this is...
it's still Water Arabesque.
Oh, it's the Water Arabesque that's in play. Okay, sorry, I thought it was the other...
Yeah, it's not the Reflection Rondo here. They do look very similar though, I've got to give you that. So, Marcus had somewhat of a small problem here because in his end phase, or rather in the end phase of Lucien, normally you would be able to special summon out the Petal, but here in that case he controls a non-plant monster and therefore that was not possible. But there is the trap card we were talking about, Soul of the Supreme King, right away being activated here by Lucien, and I don't even know how Marcus is going to out that big of a monster. And Marcus is like, let's not worry about it, let's just negate it with the Therion King Regulus.
Marcus does not want to get Zarked here, so he is actually investing this entire Therion King Regulus.
I think that's pretty reasonable. I think what a reasonable strategy sometimes, if you don't know what your opponent's doing, you often just like negate the first thing and just say, because if you can't like necessarily want to wait. Sometimes you want to wait for the opportune moment to use an effect negation, but if you don't know what's up, then you're probably going to get some value out of just negating whatever your opponent starts with.
I think we're going to see a Strenna soon. Yes, Strenna hitting the field. Fantastic card, by the way. And you can already see there are not too many cards in the extra deck of Marcus Patel left, right? I think it's about 3 or 4.
Yeah, that's very usual for the Rikka deck. You just go through so much stuff on your first turn. Your combo is so big, but it was big enough to seal the deal here. Game number 1 goes to our current and reigning European champion, Marcus Patel. So he's on his way to defend his title. Did we ever have that? Probably not, right?
I don't think we've had that. I don't even... Does it even happen for a national champion? Like, let alone a European champion?
I think we had that before for a national champion, right? I think, didn't Herman Hansen at some point in Sweden went back-to-back?
I think we had a Belgian back-to-back national champion as well. But I can't quite remember the name. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but like, did we even have a 2-time European champion before?
Oh, no, definitely not.
I don't think so, right? I mean, it's a really big tournament. 2,000 players are competing here to become the new European champion. So it's definitely not an easy task. But speaking of no easy tasks, that will be now game number 2 for good old Lucien Hoik. And I'm really excited to see whether he decides to go first now and whether he will be able to set up something. Because yes, he has that trap card, which seems pretty decent going first, but besides that, his engine, his deck, rather seems like a going second deck to me, to be honest.
Looking at the side deck, there is really nothing in it to go first.
Let me check. There really is not. You're right. I mean, you could side in the Book of Eclipse. That is okay-ish, but it's also just better going second. I definitely agree with you.
Also, is it this good? I mean, you basically would have to throw it at the first loci, right?
Yeah, I probably think you would do that, but that also would mean that all of your monsters get booked, so it's a two-edged sword, and I probably can't really see him having too much success with that. Cosmic Cyclone, probably a
fantastic card
that he likes. Of course, one of Leonard Koenig's favorite cards. He has been preaching that since the beginning of days. Like, he's like, why is no one playing Cosmic Cyclone in the main deck? Everyone is playing
I said this in 2005 already.
And
why are you guys not playing Cosmic
Cyclone? In 2010, 11, 12. It happened every single year after that, let's be honest.
I'd just rather play Mystical Space. I don't want to pay 1,000.
Out. Fair point. Fair point.
Why pay 1,000?
The only deck where it is better is in Sky Striker, so you can pop your area 0. And I think every other deck that has interactions like that.
Yeah, agreed. That's definitely something true. But I really want to see him resolving the actual ritual summon of Wahime, because he is playing the ritual card. He's playing the Mikanko Kagura to ritual summon it out. So that's definitely something I'm looking forward to.
Isn't it more common there's a card that lets you sort of cheat it out rather than having to ritual summon it properly?
I mean, you can just summon it out for its own effect, right? That just absolutely works. But you can also just ritual summon, and like the ritual spell card has an additional effect. Kagura is a really good ritual spell card because it allows you to then also destroy cards on the opponent's side of the field on resolution. But you don't have to even activate it, but it's just part of the ritual summon technique there. So that's really, really good because you have to respond to the ritual spell card and not wait, which is sometimes very hard to do.
So, taking guesses, first or second for
I would
Lucien?
think he's going first.
You think he's going first?
I think he just finds himself in a really horrible matchup because Rikka is not the deck you want to let it... you don't want to let it go first, but I am afraid looking at his deck list, there's not too much he can do going first. So I think I'm also on team second. I mean, with Lava Golems and all the Kaijus that he's playing, he might find a way to win this.
Let's see what he decides to do, because the players are ready. Let's go over to the table. Game number 2 of our round 3 feature match is coming up. And there we have them. They are being told to start. And let's see whether Lucien tells Marcus now to start off this game by going second, or whether he wants to kick things off here in this second game.
I'm really curious to see now, because I will also be really interested in seeing what the deck does going first. And I think he still has the Supreme King spell card. Trap card.
Yeah, by the way, he is looking at his hand, and by the way, Marcus put down his card. It does mean that Lucien is going first, but he does only set one spell and trap card and then passes it over to Marcus.
That can't be what he wanted. I think that Marcus immediately found a Cosmic Cyclone, so unless it is the Supreme King trap card, he's not in for a good time. I also think that he has Magnamood in hand. Is Magnamood that strong against the Rikka deck? I don't really think that they are lights or darks.
I think there is one extra deck monster that is a light or a dark. Let me just... Yeah, Jasmine actually is a light. So that would be the only card you could hit with that.
Really good target to hit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Bengal Lancer is also light, I just realized. Why are all of those plants light monsters? That makes no sense in my head.
Because they need light to grow. It makes sense.
I mean, fair enough, yeah. Okay, but we're starting off with activating the effect of Rikka Princess to special summon herself, and then we go Rikka Glamour, tributing the princess, which means we don't only get to search for the low card, but we can additionally also grab his most favorite card, the Rikka Patel.
I now feel like you when I'm doing stupid jokes.
That's the thing. I want you to know how that is.
Okay, so you want to let me suffer. It is okay. For entertainment purposes, of course.
So, Lucien decides to hold his back row here. Leo.
Did we see it? Was the
okay, he will not be able to hold it anymore, and it again is the card we also saw in game number 1.
Is Marcus gonna get Zerked now?
It is the soul of the Supreme King.
But doesn't it?
But oh, it does still banish it, and I mean it needs to banish itself from the graveyard, so it actually ends up doing not really anything there.
Oh, that is so crazy.
That Cosmic Cyclone in this particular case is so much better than a Mystical Space Typhoon because this card would have needed to be in the graveyard.
I have been telling you guys from the start. Tom, do you see this? Are you seeing this?
Yeah, just in case my opponent has Soul of the Supreme King face down,
yeah.
I'd better play this Cosmic Cyclone.
Absolutely. So, Marcus just double reading on the Supreme King Zark.
There is a lot of text to get through there, so I think it's worth him double checking. He's not got up out of his chair, he's just leaning forward, I think.
It's half a rulebook, basically.
Yeah, and also, as you can see, Lucien had to pay half of his life points to even activate. And now he gave himself a monster which enables the Dino Wrestler Pankratops to be special summoned. Oh, and there's Small World. That is somewhat of a new addition to the Rikka deck there, I gotta say.
I think for us, maybe we were too excited looking at the Mikanko deck to have a good comb through Marcus's list.
There is now also Small World. I can guarantee you Small World wasn't in their deck at the last European Championships, so they definitely found some new ways to play this deck. We are revealing the Patel that we searched out with the Glamour, and then there's Lonefire Blossom transforming into the Lily Borea, which is then special summons itself, and Marcus just keeps on going.
It wouldn't surprise me if Small World could search basically anything with basically anything in this, because I think a lot of the things have different types, attributes, and so on.
Yeah, for sure. He's like not playing dedicated Small World targets. Like sometimes, I mean, he plays one Kurikara, so I would think that's probably there as a bridge for something in his deck.
I think it's there to maybe be searched, right?
Yeah. Yeah, true. As a bridge or as a good search target. You're right, yeah, for sure. That makes sense. So, we have regulars on the field, so even if there is a potential Nibiru in the hand of Lucien, Marcus now has an answer to that.
This opening 5, or opening 6 rather, were hand-picked by Marcus, basically. This is the perfect opening. Pankratops, Cosmic Cyclone versus the Supreme King trap card, which is the absolute best out. I would even, if my opponent only has the Supreme King trap card and just activates it instantly, I would just chain the Cosmic Cyclone to it after reading it properly.
Absolutely.
And that is the case, because I wouldn't read it properly, so I would keep the Cosmic Cyclone 90% of the time.
But
it's pretty weird to chain Cosmic to a card your opponent has activated.
But yeah, quick question. Would you have even activated the Soul of the Supreme King there? Because it costs him half of his life points, and he doesn't get any extra value besides the one monster on the field, so I don't even
have
think
you seen the attack and defense stats of the Zark?
Yeah, have you seen Pankratops?
He hasn't seen Pankratops before.
That's a fair point, that's a fair point, I gotta say.
Yeah, I mean, if Marcus wants to use Bengal Lancer to bounce, that's going to cost him 4,000 life points.
That is actually true, yeah.
But I don't think he'll be that fussed about paying 4,000 life points.
So we are linking up here, as Leo also found out in the first duel of this match. That Rikka deck is going through a lot of extra deck cards, and that's just what Marcus Patel is doing here. In your regular combo, you're basically going through 10 extra deck cards, which is crazy, because the follow-up of the deck is really not that great, because what are you going to do with 5 cards left in your extra deck? Sometimes even only 2 or 3, so that's kind of rough, but still, Rikka performing decently well.
I like the addition of a sacked Lily Borea in the deck. That is really good follow-up, because if you have the Rikka Con, you can basically set a Glamour, search for a plant, and that can be Lily Borea. And if Lily Borea attaches the 3-ranking Regulus from the graveyard, you actually also get the effect to negate something, because the Therians work that way. It doesn't really matter which one is in the main monster zone, which one is in the spell trap zone. They both get both effects. So that is kind of some follow-up that the deck provides now.
It is. So we search for Mudan and also for the Snowdrop. And the effect of Snowdrop immediately gets used. We do get to another card that could easily out that Zarg there, because Teardrop will be able to tribute it just right there. That is going to resolve, and we have a lot of attack points already on the
Lucien's
field.
on a nice 4,000.
I thought that Lucien was going to read the Zark effect now. And oh, we have the fist bump here. Marcus winning 2-0 versus Lucien, after Lucien could really not have the impressive start that he wanted in Game 2.
But impressive stuff from Marcus Patel, right?
Of course.
I mean, of course, he is one of our mans that could win this tournament for sure, but he has proven to do it already. But what do you think about the deck itself? Rikka, is that one of the contenders we can really see going deep in this tournament, see in the finals again?
I could see it. Like, it's hard to say no, given it won last year. It's been performing decently well throughout the year. And, you know, obviously Marcus has shown that he himself can do it as well. So
I think the deck reeks of success. It's been really performing well.
The thing is, I have to say, this is the European Championship. It's the best players of Europe coming for this tournament. They had to qualify to get here. I refuse to believe that still the people don't know what this Rikka deck is doing, because at some point they gotta realize that this deck is strong and they gotta find ways to counter it. And therefore, I think this weekend I might have a hard time, to be honest.
Basti, honest question.
Go ahead.
After how many matches that we casted with Rikka? Same question goes to you. When did you start reading the cards?
Immediately.
Of course.
Sure. I didn't really understand what I was reading, but I was trying to read them right away.
I watched Marcus's deck profile from the European Championships from last year. That was the first time I started reading them.
All right, so you guys are way better prepared than me. I think that was around London that I started to pick up the cards. Like, okay, so they special summon each other, and it's interesting. No, of course I also read them immediately. You guys know how it is.
Obviously.
You had to read all of them so you can prepare all of your puns for the...
Yes, exactly. I mean, I knew the combo lines from the start as
exactly.
well. You know? Yes.
Yeah.
Even before Marcus won Euros.
Yeah, but interestingly enough, of course, there's also the Mikanko deck to talk about.
Yeah.
Like, what do we think about that? Here in this feature match particularly, it couldn't really show what it was up to, but is that a call that could catch people off guard for this event, maybe? I think it's more surprising than Rikka at this point.
That is true. Rikka is not really the big surprise factor right here, especially if you're sitting next to or across from Marcus Patel. However, I think Mikanko might not be the right call. There are some players, actually a decent amount, that have decided to go for combo-heavier decks, you know, and just running this, going second deck into those combo decks, it's a really tough one, because you have good tools to out the fields, but sometimes it's just a little too much. I mean, Blackwing even lets you skip a turn.
Yeah, I think, honestly, at German Nationals, which was only 2 weeks ago, we also had Rikka decks having big success, with one being in top 4 and one additionally being in top 8. But when they were playing versus trap decks, for example, versus the Labyrinth deck of Din Kabui, you could really see that even going first, the Rikka deck plays very, very bad into back row. Like, Din Kabui basically proved that you only need big Welcome Labyrinth and the regular Welcome Labyrinth to out the entire combo field of a deck.
And you know who he proved it to? Erik Töpel, and I think that he is a back-to-back Dragon Duel European champion, but I'm not 100% sure about that.
He's a two-timer, that's for sure.
When we asked him if he was at one time a German national champion at this tournament, he was like, yeah, 2 times, maybe 3 times, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't even remember. It doesn't even matter at this point. I'm here now to win the regular national championship. And yeah, Mikanko, I don't know, I like it. I kind of like it. But I want to say, let's hear it from the winner itself. Let's hear it from our still reigning and current European champion, Marcus Patel, and our interviewer at Templar.
Thank you very much, Basti. I'm joined, as you say, by the current reigning European champion, Marcus Patel, now 3-0 after that round 3 feature match. Marcus, how are you doing?
Doing pretty well. Happy with how the deck's performing. Yeah, I'm pretty happy about the deck.
Is it nice to be back at a Euros, but coming back as a champ?
Yeah, the experience is definitely something different. Maybe one of the reasons why I wanted to play the same deck as I did last year. I thought it would be a nice thing to, like a nice, you know, maybe the luck, maybe there's something lucky about the deck.
Well, let's talk about the deck. Have you changed much from last year's, you know, winning deck?
Yes, like the deck is like somewhat flexible. There's like 20, 25 like engine plant cards, and the 15 you can kind of change. And I think I've changed the 15 to adapt for the current format.
Okay, so you're already working in getting on that European title again with this new deck.
Yeah, I wish. I've got a couple of friends playing it, and I know this event's very hard, and you can lose versus anyone. So maybe if I don't win it, maybe one of my other friends do. Same thing as I said.
Well, fingers crossed, absolutely, because I know there's a handful of people playing the Rikka. You guys have all play tested together, so I guess we'll see what happens with that. Let's talk about the match that we've just watched. So versus Mikanko, how familiar are you against Mikanko with your deck?
So I know what the Mikanko cards do, which gave me a lot of a big bonus, and I can see he's like teched his deck out with the Supreme Zark trap card. A lot of people don't know what it does. I played against it once, and the card, if it resolves, it can be very powerful, but it has a lot of weaknesses. And like as you saw it in the game too, I sided Cosmic Cyclone because I know if I Cosmic Cyclone it, it's very ineffective.
And it really was, because then you can't get all the other dragons out, can you?
Exactly. And I also sided Bell for it if I also drew it, and I had the Small World in my hand. So another option was I could have Small World into the Bell, which was like my hand going second was pretty strong, but I think it helped because I also knew what the cards did.
So talking about the game 2, where there was, you know, set one pass, what do you think when you're seeing that? Because you say you're kind of familiar with what the cards do, but when you're not entirely certain what's going to happen, when you see a set one pass, what are you expecting to be there? Because something like there can only be one against Rikka, that would sort of be slightly crippling. But what were you expecting?
I was expecting mainly, 1, to be the Zark card, 2, maybe generic cards like Imperms, Book of Moons. I spoke to him after the game, he said he played Book of Eclipse. So around that, I probably would have played more diligently into the back row. I tried to Cosmic maybe a bit afterwards if he did reveal anything, so I didn't want to shotgun it. But I could see like he tried to not put up too much, like, oh my gosh, my hand is terrible, set one pass, where sometimes he could win those games if they are, maybe they misplay or maybe they let their guard down, play bad into the card. It's very common when people go like set one. I did that for the Euros final, I just went set 3 pass, but it can be a bit of a trap.
Absolutely. And so talking about things like this, obviously we know Kashtira is still a very popular deck at the moment. So that means a lot of people are playing things like Dimension Shifter. How do you play around cards like Dimension Shifter with your deck?
Dimension Shifter does hurt, but I think I can still put up a couple interruptions through the use of Con, Sheet, and since they're playing a 5-card hand, it's a bit more manageable. My interruptions have a lot more value because they have less cards in hand, and the deck can put up a couple interruptions. The Rikka Strenna can still special summon from the extra deck when it's banished. So there's a lot of, like, you can still put up maybe 3-4 interruptions versus Shifter, so it's not the end of the world.
So it's always good to be able to play around something like that that's seeing a lot of play. Well, Marcus, congrats on doing this again, 3-0. Is there anything you're worried about going up against in these, you know, upcoming few rounds of Swiss?
Maybe Labyrinth. I think the Rikka cards have always struggled versus trap decks, just because there's nothing really to destroy them, unlike the other decks. Like you've got Kashtira with Fenrir and you've got Runic with their destruction. This deck can really struggle versus the traps, so if you go second, it can be tough.
Well, best of luck to you, Marcus, and congratulations again, and we'll see exactly how you fare this time as the reigning champ. It's very exciting to have you here and to have you on the stream. Guys, don't go anywhere, because speaking of that stream, not only have we got round 4 feature match coming up very shortly, we have more of those WQPs for you guys to see, so stick around.